Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, one of my viewers asked for a Chainlink analysis, and since we have been doing Chainlink analysis before, I was like, well, okay, we can actually check this chart once more and remind ourselves why we are so bullish in Chainlink. So with that said, hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're having a great time with your family and loved ones, and I'm going to say it, in Chainlink, I believe we are having one, if not the most clear bullish structures in the whole crypto space, and the future for Chainlink, in my opinion, looks extremely bright. Now, if you are a new viewer, you should know that all these lines are in terms of Helios waves, and if you want to argue that you are bullish and maybe we're gonna have our final bottom somewhere around here, let's say this is like a very important support, then okay, we need to be able to find off of the lowest low in this region a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up. This specific example is a normal 5 wave. The rules for it are we shouldn't have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of impulsive structure, wave 3 right in here should not be the smallest wave, and for sub waves, we must have 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5. There we go. And for wave 2 and 4, we can have different scenarios. Doesn't really matter. Let's say, excuse me, let's just draw this one again. Maybe an ABC into wave 4, something like this, and a WXY into our wave 2. And if we can find this whole structure with all the subwaves off of the lowest low in Chainlink's chart, then okay, we can be absolutely bullish. Now, at first, we are going to check out the long-term structures, and what do we have in this bull run back in 2021? An extremely clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, and followed by that a correction down, probably in form of an ABC zigzag with an ending diagonal into our C leg. And well, on a higher degree, this is unbelievably bullish because we can say, look, this is a 5 wave up into 1, correction for wave 2, and the next move is gonna be a big one on the upside into wave 3 and 4 and 5. And it's very important for us to understand that in terms of Helios waves, usually wave 3 is actually quite a big wave. So because it seems like that we are on our way up to complete the sub waves for this wave, well, okay, makes sense to say that in Chainlink, in the long term, we are going to have an absolutely magnificent bull run, and the minimum target for this wave 3 is going to be setting an all-time high and taking the highest high all the way up here around $55. But I think we're not actually going to stop there. No, we're going to go quite a bit more higher than that. So in the long term, we are 1000% bullish. Also, in the midterm, the structures look fantastic. You see, what do we have off of the lowest low in here around $5? Another very clear 5 wave up with all the sub waves, and followed by that a correction structure. That our correction can be in different forms. Maybe we can have a double zigzag followed by another zigzag, or if you're not comfortable to have a WXY into a wave W, you can say, well, okay, maybe this is going to be like a zigzag followed by a double zigzag. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. The point is, this is a choppy move on the downside, which is a very important characteristic of a correction. And we can argue, well, okay, this is another 1 and a 2. And at the moment, we are on our way to have a big move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5. So long term, we are absolutely bullish. Midterm, we are also looking fantastic. In the short term, okay, the structures, I would say, are up for debates. But the question in there is not whether we are bullish or bearish. No, the question is whether we are bullish or maybe we are extremely bullish. And here is why. You see, I can tell you, well, okay, maybe we are going to have a correction structure in this whole area, which started from all the way up here. And because in this move up, we actually took the highest high in this region around, let's say, $23, then okay, maybe we can have an ABC running flat, which is going to look like this. This is our initial move down into a correction for wave B, which in it we are going to take this side and then another move down into our C leg. But the important point for our C wave is this: we're not actually going to take the low of our A leg, and this is going to end before that. And in terms of the sub waves, we must have ABC down into A. Let's change the colors. There we go. correction up for wave B, maybe ABC, maybe even a WXY, doesn't really matter, and then another 5 wave down into our ceiling. Let's go now on the live chart and see what is happening. So in this move on the upside, I can actually find a WXY, potentially I would say in form of a double zigzag. So I can say this is a correction structure, but my main problem is with this move down right in here. If I just hide everything, there we go. You see, you might be able to say that this is an ABC zigzag down, fair enough, but for me, finding an ABC in here is extremely challenging. I'm not gonna say it's absolutely impossible, no, anything is possible, and if I say it's impossible, that's because I don't have the knowledge for it, but I do want to say this. Finding an ABC in here is quite hard. That's why I want to say maybe we're not going to have a running flat, maybe something like this in here. Instead, this point around this area in Chainlink can actually be our final bottom. And I can tell you, well, okay, this is from this low to about potentially here, 5 wave up into a wave 1. And this can be, I guess, to somewhere around here or here, doesn't really matter. Correction for wave 2, and at the moment we are on our way to have a big move into wave 3 and 4 and 5. What can invalidate this scenario? You know it. I would say a relatively deep move on the downside in order to get back to somewhere around these levels. Does this mean that at that point we are going to be bearish? No. In fact, we are actually going to be much more bullish. Why is that? Well, we said in this possibility at the moment we are on our way to complete the subwaves for this wave 3. If we're gonna have a relatively deep move on the outside, at that point we're gonna say this whole move is just a running flat, and then from here we're gonna start having a big 5 wave up, which is going to, in my opinion, send us quite higher relative to the previous possibility. So as you can see, one way or the other in Chainlink we are looking magnificent, and I do believe that our move up is just not over yet. And in fact, this thing right in here is just the beginning. Now, if you are wondering, well, okay, why are we getting a move on the downside in the last couple of days? First, it's very important to understand that this move down is not specific for Chainlink. Also, second, this move down, let's just measure it from this high to about here. As you can see, this is about a 27% move on the downside, which is quite a shallow move down relative to the move on the downside that we are having in other altcoins. So in other words, in Chainlink, we are actually in a much better place. Now, in terms of why are we getting this move down? Well, okay, you see, in here, we are having a very important resistance area from weekly and daily time frame at the same time. And if you want to say that this is broken, you need to go on weekly chart and see a candle close above here, then pull back, and followed by that a continuation of the move up in order to take this high. Let's go now on weekly time frame and zoom in more and see what do we have. So I can tell you, well, okay, this is our initial move up, our candle close above this region, followed by that the current move down can be interpreted as just a very simple pullback. And what's gonna happen next? Odds are probably a continuation of the move up in order to take the highest side in here around $27. And at that point, we are going to be able to say with quite a lot of confidence that this resistance is officially broken and we are looking much more bullish than before. So this is the reason for why we are getting the current move down in Chainlink's price chart. And as far as I'm concerned, it might actually be over already. So let's have our final conclusion and wrap up today's video. One way or the other, we are in Chainlink absolutely bullish because in the midterm, off of the lowest low, we are having an unbelievably clear 5 wave up, followed by that a correction structure on the downside, which suggests, well, okay, we are having a 1, 2, and the next move is going to be a huge one up into wave 3 and 4 and 5. And just in this phase, into our wave 3, I'm expecting Chainlink to set an all-time high and take the highest side around $55. Now in the short term, we can have different possibilities, and here is what I have to say. I think in Chainlink, because we got our initial move up above this region, we can say this move down is just going to be a pullback, and we can actually get from here a continuation of the move up in order to continue our uptrend. But if something like this is not going to happen, and instead we're going to get a relatively deeper move on the upside, at that point, believe it or not, we are actually going to be much more bullish in Chainlink, because odds are that, okay, this whole move then is going to be a correction structure, and this point is going to be just the beginning of another magnificent phase of the bull. So I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Chainlink's chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent EA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next video, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.